This video is meant to talk about overcompensating for self-worth and how people display these behaviors. And I'm trying to be genuine here and talk about things that are going on with me and why things change and what things are changing, and talk about how I internally have these conversations with myself, and maybe you have those conversations with yourself as well. This comes from a website called smallbusinessonfire.com, and I will link it down below. The bullet points come from them. The concepts or the conversation about it is my own. I want to start off by addressing my change in appearance. During the pandemic, I cut all my hair off because I didn't want to go to couldn't go to a barber to get my hair cut, and found I liked having my hair short, almost completely gone. It was very easy to keep up, much easier. For whatever reasons, I like having my hair much shorter. I have problems with itchy head, and just felt like cutting it off was a better way to go. And I may actually go take it down to bald at some point, so you may see that change in the future as well. I don't say this to get your validation, and that's one of the first points that we're going to bring up. I'm not asking you to like it, or to dislike it, or to make fun of it, or to have any kind of comment on it at all, but rather to acknowledge that it is a change in my appearance. So let's go on with the 10 behaviors that people with low self-worth often display. And so the number 1, or number 10, let's say, is they often seek validation. And that, again, that kind of played into what I just said, right? There are oftentimes when I feel like I'm trying to be validated by someone else's ideas of me. And it's not often, I wouldn't say it's often, it does occur. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that in these 10 points about the things that people do to overcompensate, there are gradations. And we all have these gradations, we all have these issues, we all have these thoughts in our minds, and it's worthwhile exploring your inner conversation to try and determine if this is something that you're doing as a normal course of living, or whether it's something that's becoming a problem for you because you have this low self-worth. And so often seek validation means that you are trying to get validated for everything you do. And my wife brought it up and said, well, children do that a lot. And it's their way of understanding the limits of what they can do and how they can do it and becoming adults. But we as adults don't need to constantly seek validation for the things that we do. And that's a very strong point. And we want to make sure that we're talking in our internal monologue. Are we trying to seek validation for what we're doing? Just as I was bringing up about my hair, was I trying to get your validation? No. I'm addressing something that is obvious. So let's move on. So the next point, number 9, is they tend to be perfectionists. And I have a problem sometimes with that. I think about it. I try to throw money at various things, like I bought camera systems for this YouTube. I do things that I want to do that are, good, not perfect, but very good. So I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist. I do try. I work in software, so it's one of those things where it's a binary situation. Either something works or it doesn't work. So being a perfectionist is really important in the software industry, but you can't let it bleed over into your life. So I'm not a perfectionist. However, as I mentioned, Beth has had problems with being a perfectionist in the past. And she actually had to work on that to try and pull back from being such a perfectionist and expecting so much of herself. And I think that's an important point, right? You don't want to try to be so perfect that nothing is ever good enough for you. This YouTube for me is a good example of this. I'm trying to make this work because I enjoy making videos. And I'm not making perfect videos, but am I trying to be a perfectionist with it? Maybe at the beginning I did, because I started out using AI videos. I'm trying to be more authentic now, with warts and all, short hair and all, right? I mean, I'm trying to be more authentic for people to understand that I am a human being and not a robot generating videos. So I don't want to try and be perfect. I just want to be me. Number 8 is they frequently compare themselves to others. And this is a problem that a lot of people get into, especially in the YouTube realm, is, well, look at this other person over here who got monetized in a month, right? Look at this other person over here who's got 10 million views. We can't validate ourselves by trying to compare ourselves to others, because that begins a downward spiral. It's a problem in life. It's a problem in YouTube. It's a problem in everything, comparing yourselves to others. So don't do that. Try to compare yourself internally with how you want to find yourself. In other words, when you as a human being want to be the best human being you can be, should you be friendly? Yes, you should. Should you be enjoyable to be around? Yes, you should, right? At least from my perspective. Some people don't feel like those are the way to be, but I'm not comparing myself to others. These are things I feel like I need to be. And that's what you want to do, is you want to compare, you want to take values that you have and compare yourself to those values and not to others. So number 7 is they have a hard time saying no. And I have to tell you that is one of the things I have at work. My clients ask me to do something, and I tend to say, yes, I will do it for them. And the reason is I want them to be happy with what they get from me. But you have to weigh that with the effort that it's going to take. So saying yes to everything is not conducive to having a perfectionist life, right? Because things don't perfectly go. When you say yes to everything, sometimes you need to say no, because there are things that you can't do or don't want to do. And these are times when you need to think about those things. You need to have that internal monologue and say, hey, what am I doing here? Why am I saying yes to this when I should be saying no? My wife has, again, she and I talk about this, and I've told her that she does have a hard time saying no, and she understands that she does have a hard time saying no, especially to when people want her to do something or want her to help with something. And that becomes, a fairly difficult process to deal with, is saying no to people that you like, and you're afraid it's going to hurt their feelings. And I think that people want to be treated fairly and want to understand that if you don't want to do something, say no. Just say no. And get comfortable with saying no. No, I will not go with you to XYZ. No, I do not want to do that. No, I don't want to go on vacation this year. Wait a minute, that's a yes for me. Number 6 is people who are able or are low self-confidence. They rarely express their true feelings. And I never have had a problem with that. My mother was always telling me, just say what you mean. Just come out with it. Just say it. She was German, and so she was very pragmatic about that. And sometimes it hurts people's feelings when you express your true feelings. But you have to understand that you can't keep things bottled up inside you to try and be better for other people and bad for yourself. So when you want to speak your feelings, then speak them. Now you can choose how you speak about your true feelings, such that you are not putting someone else down or giving someone else a hard time with what your true feelings are. So if truly I don't like something, I'm going to say it. Or if I do like something, I'm going to say that as well. But I like to couch it in sandwich terms. Right? When I was a supervisor, one of the things that I always did was to couch my reviews of my employees in this sandwich term, which was to say that something good about them. Start off with something good about them, tell them the problems that I see, and end up with something that I appreciate about them. And that way, you don't end up at a negative point and leave it there. Because people rarely remember the middle of the sandwich, they always remember the end of the sandwich. So you want to lead in with something good, try and say what you have to say in the middle, and then leave them with at least a reasonable idea or a reasonable feeling at the end of what you're talking about. Thank you for watching this video thus far. We're so glad that you came, and we would like to say that if you are enjoying this video or you think that it's helpful to you, that you subscribe to our channel, right? Like our channel, and comment. We really want comments. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment to this video so that we can bring you more videos like this and increase our viewership. So number 5 is they often belittle their own achievements. Sometimes, when we think about the things that we achieve and the things that we do, and we talk about the things we want to achieve, we sometimes in our mind we want to degrade our own achievements because we don't want to seem like we're being braggadocio. We don't want to seem like we're telling people, oh, I've done this or I've done that, right? Now, frankly, I don't feel like people explaining their achievements to me is braggadocio unless they're doing it in the kind of tone of voice that makes me think that they're bragging about it. Right? Most of the time it's, I've done this and I've done that, and they have their own achievements. And I have mine. And I appreciate them, and I know that they are positive achievements. They're things that I have done over my lifetime that I'm proud of, and I'm glad to speak of it. And I will be doing some videos on some of my achievements, some of the things that I've done in my lifetime that I am proud of. This video will be going on Coldstream Cottage, and it is because I feel like it's a video that is about family, that is about home. It is about our feelings and how we feel about things. We do want to put on videos about making food, but we also want to couch that in the idea that we can talk about our feelings on this channel without fear of being ridiculed but I do know this is the internet, so there's that. But I don't want to belittle my own achievements, and you shouldn't either. You should be proud of what you've done, and again, don't brag, but at least be proud of the achievements you've done. And that brings us to number 4, which is they have a tendency to self-sabotage. And I have done that in the past. I have found myself trying to put myself down or be in a space where I am sabotaging my own need for achievement because I think it's not something that I should have. And self-sabotage is something that a lot of people do, and you don't want to do a lot of self-sabotage. If you find yourself doing it, pull back on it. Understand it. Think about it. Am I sabotaging my own achievement, the object that I'm trying to do? Right. So you want to be internally aware if you're trying to self-sabotage. So number 3 is they can be overly critical of others. And, we all know those people who are super critical of everybody around them. They want to put others down, and they are negative in the nth degree. And we don't want to be like that. If we have a critique of someone, again, as I was talking about before, you want to couch it in some positivity, right? So that when you're critiquing something, people understand that you're not trying to attack them or to be critical of them for just the reason of being negative. And so these people who don't have a lot of self-confidence, they tend to be critical of others and to point out others issues because they don't want to focus on their own issues. So if you internalize and think about your own issues within your own mind and say, how can I do better? What can I do? What can I do to make myself a better person? Then others will be much happier with you. You will be much happier with yourself. So number 2 is they exhibit a strong need for control. Who hasn't known this? I've had bosses who were just like that, and they had a huge need to control everything about you. And it made me wonder, were some of these bosses, did they have a problem with low self-esteem or a low confidence level in themselves? I think that when you have a strong need to control the situation, to control other people, to control everything around you, that comes off as being aggressive. But oftentimes people see through it and understand that you're trying to do this, but it's not because you're a perfectionist, again, but rather because you are, and you could be a perfectionist and want control. But it's generally because you have a low self-worth. And so try not to exert your control over other people. Try to persuade them to your point of view. When you use the art of persuasion, everybody wins. Because when I say to you that I believe you should vote for Harris, and then I tell you why, then maybe you'll be swayed. Maybe I'll persuade you, but maybe I won't. And it's okay either way, but you need to understand that I have my thoughts on it and you have yours. And both are valid. Everybody has a right to their own opinions, and you don't need to control me or tell me what to think. And so the final one is that they are overly defensive. And we all have this when we're attacked, we tend to become defensive. Or when we perceive that we're being attacked. And this goes back again to my sandwich analogy, where we want to make sure that when we're telling people something, a critique of something, we are critiquing them in a way that is reasonable and that layers it with things that they're doing right. Because not everybody does, almost no one does everything wrong. There are people who are like that, but very few and far between. So when you look for the good in people, that will come out, and it will be part of keeping people from becoming defensive. when people have low self-worth, they tend to become overly defensive very quickly. In other words, when you say something that is perceived as a slight to them, or something that goes against their thought pattern, or is not in their wheelhouse, they are going to become immediately defensive about it. And I go back to my comment about voting for Harris, right? If I said that, there are a lot of people who immediately will turn this video off because they are becoming defensive on it and don't like it and don't want to talk about it, right? So it's time to start talking about that, and it's time to start talking about all the things that we should be talking about as Americans. And I think that as you watch this video, just keep in mind that we are trying to help you to understand yourself and to make a better life. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to make our channel grow and to be able to bring you these videos as well. Thank you, and I appreciate your watching.